Welcome to another episode of the Prep Coach podcast. We are back. MG, we're going to start with you. You told us that you are doing something this Friday and you weren't going to tell me until we're on the podcast. So now you can tell me what you're doing.
Sounds like it's ridiculously epic, but
yeah.
I went yesterday down to Docklands for an audition
Okay.
for a game show.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's my third and final audition. I was one of the last people. And they'd said after everybody's audition, they'll let people know within the next fortnight. By the time I'd walk back to my car, they'd contacted me, and I'm filming tomorrow, Friday morning.
No, can you tell us what it is?
Deal or no deal.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
That's the best.
Yeah,
Where do they film that?
Docklands.
Oh, they film in
Docklands
Docklands.
studio, yeah, just right next to DFO.
So does that mean you'll either be holding a briefcase or you get?
Yeah, so I'm the main applicant and Meve's my briefcase holder.
Okay.
So if it's me, it's me. Yeah,
Okay.
It won't be Meve.
So how do you know if you get through?
You'll be just called up live.
Oh, so you don't know whether you're going to be the
Yeah.
person.
I mean, I just have an inkling, like, why would you interview 3 times and it'd be random?
Okay.
So
yeah.
I just have this feeling, and I spoke to somebody who works at the network who's a very well-known celebrity, who's a cousin of mine,
Okay, yeah.
who said it's so that people show up and they have a full studio audience. If everybody thinks they have a chance of getting on,
Yeah, sure.
but if they tell you that you're one of the people in the audience or you're a briefcase holder, they have no shows.
Okay,
And
makes
they
sense.
only film once every so often. They can't afford to have no shows
That makes sense.
because they get the whole crew in the whole. So
Do you know who made it through all the way to holding the briefcase? Bridget.
Bridget,
Remember?
yeah. So Bridget will know, but and Bridget will know this too. They asked me 2 main questions. So one was, and I'll tell you the answer to this. They said, "What do you want to spend the money on?" And I just had this feeling. It's like, I know that they don't want to hear travel, mortgage.
Mhm.
So I said, to be honest, I'd like to win at least $4,000 because I want to go out and buy 4 vintage Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle dolls from 1987.
Of course you
And
said.
you know, and I promise, the producer was like, "That's awesome. I want to name each one of my children after a Ninja Turtle."
Is that what they said? Oh,
My
connected.
And then did you show them the
We're
tattoo?
on, and then I showed her that.
Yeah.
And then did you see the mural that was in DFO next door on Meve's?
Yes.
So it was a sign, right?
Yeah.
And then she's like, give us a story that, you and Grant could talk about. And I was like, let me tell you the story about how I weaseled my way into this woman's life. But I mentioned about what my mate, your
wife, yeah.
So, I'll tell that whole story.
Yeah.
She was in absolute hysterics. I told how she disappeared.
Yeah.
I told how the loan got it. Like it was.
Yeah, okay.
So I think that story, being that I only told one story and the audition went for 30 minutes, whereas everyone else was giving multiple stories to sort of.
Okay.
It's like, this one story can drag the whole episode.
So they're going to film it on Friday.
Yeah, and then I think
When will it go
they
live?
do a month in advance.
Actually, a month in advance.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So
And
All
they'll
right.
do multiple, like there'll be 8 people that'll go
I
on
think
that.
there's
They do a whole
6
day.
or 8 episodes on one day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm there 7:30 till 4 p.m. That's why.
Oh, wow.
It's all day.
Wow. Okay,
So-
we're
So I've been asking everyone. I've got a number. You just give me a briefcase number.
and what do the numbers go up to?
1 to 30.
Because you're selected. Because I haven't watched you in ages. You select the briefcase. I'm going to say number 9. It's my birthday.
13.
All right, cool. So I'll say this. I am picking one of those 2 numbers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the one that I'm not picking is the number also Talia picked. So very good, you two. Very
really?
right on the money.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Why do you go?
I mean, I can tell everybody which number I'm picking. It doesn't really matter, right?
I guess.
So since Bali, I've been like breaking every superstition that I've ever had. For example, listening to music volume on
Oh, yeah.
uneven number. I do it now. And you remember at Bali, everyone's like, "You're not going to get injured this time. Touch wood." I'm like, "Nobody touch wood."
Yeah.
I didn't get injured. I know I got Bali belly, but I didn't get
Yeah.
injured. And since coming back, everything that I've been fearful of my whole life, like you're not allowed to cut your nails on Friday as an Italian. Now I'm fucking cutting my nails on a Friday. So like,
Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's a thing. I don't do it. Yeah.
but it's like I'm not being held back by anything that
Yeah.
is just a myth or an old wives' tale. So I'm just breaking all those barriers. So I'm picking 30.
Yeah. I thought if you're talking about superstition, 13 is the one to pick.
I'm picking 30.
It's my lucky number.
What did Talia pick?
9.
Oh, she picked 9.
She picked 9.
How did she pick 9? What did you say?
So I gave her like 11 options, which was like her birthday, my birthday, Meve's birthday, which is September. That was the 9.
Oh, the 9. Okay.
The numbers to the front of our house, like just things
Okay,
that.
yeah.
And she picked 9.
Oh, there you go. Why is 13 you're lucky?
It just always It always has been. I don't know. And I've had weird experiences with when I've like seen that number when I got it. Like I remember the IFBB show, I got given number 13
Oh, really?
at Rego, and I remember saying to Jen, and she smiled. I'm like, "It's my lucky number." It's so weird. And then when we were getting tanned, I was sat and I looked up and I was in like Bay Area 13. I'm like, that's so fucking weird. And I looked back, it was 13.
Okay.
And I obviously did it right there. And just it's always been a lucky number that I've always just, I don't know.
It's got
Even
good
since I was a
energy.
kid.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Scotty's number and it's Tim's favorite number. Use those two as an
Yeah,
example for number 13, and I think that's
they're the best
that's what we need.
examples.
So it's 13.
All right, cool. So we're gonna ask you Friday night how you went. Yeah.
I'm sure I'm not going to be able to say anything, but yeah.
But if we see you rocking up to the gym in a brand
You need a Lamborghini.
Ferrari.
What's the top prize?
100 grand.
That's 100 grand is the.
Oh, those no, it's
Is it
250.
Is it?
I think it's the 250.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm going to win
It's
60,000.
been a good 10 years.
I'm going to win 60,000.
What do they go in increments of?
So it goes 50 cents a dollar, $10, $50, 100, 250, 500, 1,000, and then it starts to go like
okay.
2, 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's 100 grand regular. It's featuring top prizes of 200 or more with some special versions. Okay. It used to be 200.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
60
Everyone's
grand.
cutting costs, eh?
There we go.
Still, you get 100. You're not going to be upset about that.
Yeah, I know, but if like, let's
Even-
just say, so just,
Even
I know
if
we're harping on this, but I'll be keen to hear everybody's thoughts. You got 2 suitcases left, 1,000 and 100,000. So your offer's 55.
you take it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah, I'd be taking it.
Are you going to run some little, just so that you don't get caught in the moment, like a little few scenarios, just to make sure that
No,
you're running the probability?
do you know why I'm
the
asking
statistics?
everybody for their numbers? Because when I get up there, if that's the way that it goes, I'm going to get all the numbers out that everyone told me to get straight away. So I'm not sitting there wondering, fuck, MT said 9, and I'm leaving 9. What if it's 9? No, it's already gone.
Okay.
Yeah. So then it's just left with numbers that I've got no attachment to.
Okay.
I'm more talking about probability of getting the most amount of money per how many.
Right. How long have you known me? That's all gonna fucking go out the window with.
He's not.
You understand? Like,
he's not
I'm
gonna
gonna
do that.
fucking hug Grant
I'm
Denya.
text from there. He just said a sneaky little text, and I'll be like, no
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah, based on the what's left, your probability is you're gonna walk away with fucking nothing.
I just had this funny thought. And I was like, that's a wrong game show. I was like, can you phone a friend? That's a different game show.
Yeah, I mean, don't phone me.
That's
in
who wants
any
to
of
be a
those.
billionaire.
Could you imagine you could phone Scotty? Man, do the math on this, brother. And then,
Yeah, I'd be the one if Eddie rang me. I'd be like, Eddie, hey, what's going? So,
Wait.
Michael, I'm trying to ask you a question for your friend.
I've only got
Your
5
time's,
seconds.
your time's up. Sorry.
And then you're like, just quickly, let me tell you this funniest thing that's happened to me on the weekend.
That's exactly what would happen, and that's what's going to happen on the show. So whatever probabilities I might have walked in with, they'll be gone.
yeah. What's the probability that you're going to lift Grant Denya up and spin him around?
So fucking high.
Yeah, because you're so much taller.
I've
If you
even
do,
planned
you
my
pick
outfit
them
to
up.
allow that to happen.
So you could.
Yeah, so I can rotate and
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Do you know what you're going to wear? What is there an attire?
No, it's just
whatever.
smart casual. I'm just going to wear the tightest pair of jeans possible, and there's a tight singlet underneath an oversized t-shirt, so that if the t-shirt is to come
off. Yeah.
So if you win, you're going to do the whole.
Well, you got to have a t-shirt so you can show your Ninja Turtle tat.
definitely.
Yeah, you have to. Do you want to explain your tat? Did we explain it last week? No.
No, I don't think so. But yeah, it's nicely healed now. So there is the great Michael. And now this, actually, Scott had a lot of input on this.
Yeah.
We'll just, if me asked, I was like, Scott made me do it. But I've wanted to get Michelangelo tattooed for a long time because my name actually on my birth certificate is Michelangelo. So my grandfather's name was Angelo. So the tattoo was actually just, as you can see, Michelangelo and the nunchucks just as it was. And then Scotty's like, why don't you add New York City in the background?
Mm.
We were sitting at Crave and I was like, fuck, that's a mad idea. So we got New York City added and then him on a sewer, which completed it. I couldn't imagine it without it now. It's the best thing ever. But fuck, that was the bit that hurt the most.
Yeah.
And even Gus, our driver, was like, man, what's your idea with the buildings? I was like, it was Scotty. Of course, fucking Scotty. But that's what makes it for me. Because you got to think,
It looks awesome.
from where my side is, all I can see is New York City. I can't even see him. So it's if that wasn't there,
if you were, you
I
can see.
say that,
Yeah,
but
you can.
That's
see.
what I
Yeah.
that's what I look at most of the time.
Have you been in New York?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you've been to New York.
No,
you
it's on my
haven't.
bucket list. You're going this year, aren't
Yeah,
you?
I'm going this year.
I can't wait to go.
Yeah.
Some really good steakhouses.
We'll do it. We'll go again. We'll go together. We'll do like a big family trip. I reckon
do it.
it'll be awesome.
Yeah, okay.
nice
All right. While I take a sip from my orange juice that MG got me,
Freshly squeezed.
freshly squeezed.
Freshly squeezed.
It's beautiful. All right. start some. Let's do the
What we here for?
let's do the bodybuilding podcast. What do you reckon? All right. What are the pros and cons of having rest day and training day macros versus having the same macros every day? MG, do you use high-low days? Do
Yeah,
you do
I
anything
do, but
different?
I use them as refeeds. I don't use them as because your output is less.
Mm-hmm.
I have them for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So my high lows are for a refeed purpose, not just because you're not going to train that day and your output might be, what's a great weight session, 400-500 calories burned.
If that.
Yeah, like depending on the, I mean, you probably would expend that. Like Timsy would probably expend that, in Bali. So for me, it's not really needed. I mean, I'm trying to think about the reasons why somebody might use it. Maybe you're trying to sit at a certain weight for a period of time, and the difference between your non-training day, it's not only that you don't train, but maybe that's the day you're in the office and your steps are way down too. So the total expenditure is actually dramatically different. Maybe you'd use it in an instance like that, but it's not something I use often. I just use the carb up process for refeeds.
I have a similar mindset. Is if the expenditure on a rest day is a lot different to a training day, and it's not just there's no training there and that's the only calorie difference, then I won't do anything different. Actually, I'll normally put cardio on rest days, like just go 20 minutes, go for a walk, whatever that may be, to kind of expend a similar amount of energy that you would in the gym, and just keep the macros the same every single day of the week. Also, just for ease of meal prep and things like that. If we're talking about comp prep, it might be a little bit different. But again, I probably wouldn't do them based on a rest day. It might be, I might want to give them refeeds and they have to be all training days. Like there'll be a different sequence that I'd normally follow.
Yeah.
What would you?
The one thing that I think about with that is, for me, is if it's somebody in prep, I'm just trying to make it as simple as possible sometimes. So it's like non-training day, didn't move that much, training day, then another non-training day where I moved a lot. I've got to check with the coach if I should do more. It's like sometimes keeping it simple and looking at it as a 7-day average, it kind of always nets out. If that's the same, like if it's always a really low output day every Tuesday, well then it's always a low output day every Tuesday. So
I remember there was a trend where people had low, medium, high days in a week. And it was just, I was like, that's so confusing.
Yeah, it's certainly like that will accumulate on you. You get to the back end of prep and you've got 3 different macro days that aren't refeeds.
Yeah, they're just different macro days because one's an upper day, one's a lower day, one's a rest day. So you've got 3 different macros.
Yeah, it's taxing.
Yeah. Scotty?
Yeah, I think it depends on where the athlete is at. Like in contest prep, I would typically use them, especially at the back end where, it's an opportunity to top up and really prioritize recovery, giving back. Say someone like Nerida, for example, we utilize her rest days at certain time points within the week when there could be a bigger compound session coming to put in a bit more food. But rarely would I use it as an opportunity to make food lower, unless there were just circumstances where we had a specific period where we know we have a window or a period of time, a block, if you will, that we can afford to dig a little bit more. The athlete typically moves a bit less, but also it's an opportunity and they're happy to dig a little bit more on that rest day. I'm someone that in prep, especially in the early phases of my prep, I actually do that with myself on my non-training days when I'm still got enough body composition to not have to stress about recovery. It's easier for me. I can suffer a bit more. I'm like, in this next 6-week block, I'm going to really lean into that rate of loss so that I can keep food a bit higher on the days that I'm training, and I can utilize that and I'm more thinking of it from a net energy intake over the week. So I'd rather have a little bit more food here on these 4 or 5 days. And then on the days that I'm not training, I'm happy to have a little bit less, so long as it's not impacting recovery that then
the next day.
Performance. Yeah. But yeah, I think it depends.
You're taking advantage of your state there, like.
Yeah, and also it might be like, it could be on a Saturday afternoon, you might train in the morning, and I know that I've also agreed to go on a bike ride with the kids, and then I'm going to go for a walk as well. So that expenditure is going to be way higher. My baseline intakes might be 2,500 calories on my normal training days, but in reality, my expenditure is going to be way high. So maybe I'll do 2,900 or 3,000 on that day because I need it, and it will still give me the deficit that I need. But on that low day, perhaps what I'll do is I'll just dig a little bit more because I can, and it's not really going to impact me.
Yep.
But to a point where once you get to, you're within a, say 3 to sort of 4 kilos of where you want to land, then you got to weigh up risk for reward, you digging more, and again, really not prioritizing recovery. That's when you're probably in the most vulnerable position to potentially degrade lean mass.
Would you ever use it in the improvement season?
Nah, not really. Not unless you had someone that.
Just couldn't get food down.
Yes,
On the day they moved, maybe?
sometimes, and again, I am someone that in the past has done that, but I find having a slower rate of gain is almost better versus, when food's really, really high, sometimes having, and it's not a low day, it might be like 1,000 calories less purely as a means to just let your body catch up a little bit. But even then, I think if adherence is good and you're meeting the right types of micronutrients as well, like you're getting the right amount of fiber in to keep digestion sound, then you shouldn't really need to lean into that. And if someone's using it as a means of trying to control energy balance, because on the weekends they just, eat ad libitum and, eat the entire bakery, then
Yeah,
you probably need to look at your behavior rather than.
it's probably got more of a place in a Gen Pop type space
Yeah.
than.
Yeah, for Gen Pop, sometimes it's an easier
Yeah,
tool
yeah.
where, you might have a young mum and she doesn't really want to track and doesn't want to do that. Well, what I want you to do, instead of eating 5 meals on a days where you don't work out, I just want you to eat 3 meals. Make sure you got some protein. There's 5 colors on your plate. Like that element of simplicity. All right, Scott only wants me to eat 3 normal meals. Normally I would have 3 and 2 snacks. It's a way of just creating a deficit without her really having to think about it. Maybe they're busier on that day. You can get more work done on that day. I don't know about you guys, but the days I don't train are my busiest check-in days because
Yeah, of course.
I can afford to get more work done.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh,
Not 32 snacks.
Nah.
How long should someone ideally stay in a cut for when in the off season?
Like a mini cut.
Yeah, cut in just as a cut. I think you've like for a little bit more context on that one. If it's a cut and you're in the extended off season, you're doing a cut for like an event, like for someone's wedding, or
that's probably the
you're going to Europe or something like that. Then maybe the cut would be like something like a typical fat loss phase, which is like 12 weeks or something like that. But if you've got no events on and there's no reason to cut for anything, you just going about your bodybuilding journey, then like what we said last time, your cut's pretty much going to be to do the pre-prep. It's not, you shouldn't be doing it
as short as possible to achieve the result,
what
really.
you need. Yeah.
But I think like if we had to put a number on it, we would say 3 to 6 weeks would be the kind of ideal position, knowing that there's athletes that you can probably do it in 3 to 4. And then there are definitely some that, that extra 1 or 2, but probably don't want to be pushing further than that. And then all of a sudden you're starting to tip into the waters where maybe you're going to start to see a little bit of down regulation and stuff. But the short answer is as short as possible.
Yeah.
Really.
If it was just a cut for the pre-prep and you're just focusing on your bodybuilding journey only, then like what you said in another episode where the cut is a certain period of time where it's 6 or 8 weeks, and then the gap between that pre-prep and the comp prep is 1.5
to 2 times that.
2 times the weeks. Yeah. Anything on that, Scotty?
No, I think the body composition that you maintain, I think we're probably in an era now where everyone understands you don't need to get super, super heavy, and especially it's more guys than anything that I'm 100 kilos, you just get unnecessarily fat, and then you're 25 kilos over stage weight, and then you've basically got to do almost a contest prep to get into shape to start contest prep.
Yeah.
And then not thinking that isn't, there's going to be some recoil to that, assuming that you're not giving yourself that time in between. So I think maintaining more of a leaner off season, I think, is more beneficial. Slowing that rate of gain. We know that you don't need a huge amount of a surplus in order to be able to still acquire new tissue. But I also think we're probably being a little bit more open, and I've been a big advocate of this for a long time, is if you're going to run a tidy up, even in the improvement season, like 3-4 weeks, some of my guys will do 7 or 8 kilos in 3 or 4 weeks, really aggressive, almost cardio every day, get it done. They don't really see any impact physiologically. Maybe they're starting to get hungry towards the end, and they can focus on improving and getting better. But I think we're all probably, as an industry now, understanding the benefits of starting prep in good composition versus having to lose 15 to 20 kilograms because you're just a bit too fluffy to start with.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of people that don't do pre-prep.
Yeah.
And then have that lengthy contest prep. For me, I just think you run the risk of not getting into the level of conditioning that you need, because the enormity of the amount of body mass that you have to lose is just too much of an arduous task towards the back end versus, and then you're not getting into that level of conditioning. You're also most likely degrading lean mass and you limp to the finish line versus someone who, if you're in a really, really good starting point, you can afford to, modulate your rate of loss relatively early. You can keep food high, you can protect training performance, and thus obviously protect, retaining all of the hard off-season gains you've made.
Since you've started to implement more pre-preps over the years,
Mm-hmm.
have your comp preps become shorter than what they used to be? Or is it kind of still the same, maybe, but you give yourself some breaks during the comp prep?
They have, but it depends on the demographic. For most of the guys now, it's probably 24 weeks because they're starting prep from a really good spot. 24 to 26 weeks, depending on who it is. Having said that, they've come off the back of usually pulling off 8 to 10 kilos maybe 5 months prior to that, and then they might have regained maybe 2 of those kilos over that sort of 12-week period. But if it was a bikini competitor, and I actually have a couple of bikini competitors this year, the way that you would manage them is a little bit differently, just purely because the conditioning requirements are a little bit different. But if it's a figure competitor, and depending on the age as well, in my experience, the older that you get, in some ways, it does take a little bit longer, and I would always rather have a little bit more time up my sleeve and not having the athlete feel rushed and panicked. So, most figure or even fitness competitors, it might be a 28 week contest prep, but having said that, of those 28 weeks, there's structured diet breaks, and from 12 to 16 weeks out, it's very much a non-linear model where they might be 5 down, 2 up, or, say Nerida, for example, now she's 3 down, 4 up, or 5 up, 2 down. So she's eating closer to baseline majority of the time because now you're just chasing the sprinkles on the Sunday.
Yeah. Yep. It's funny because there was a question about how do you balance maximizing surplus for growth, but not pushing body fat too high where pre-prep becomes hell? Kind of answer that question there. Is there a body fat percentage? Well, you probably don't scan people to know what their percentage is, but is there something that you look at and you've been training enough people to know what roughly their body fat would be, or what roughly is looking a little bit too fluffy?
I think if you were to look at the last time you stepped on stage and be honest, were you 100% like inside out as lean as you could have been? If you weren't, then maybe take another 3 to 4 kilos. Like a lot of people, if I sign a new client and they've competed before, when they're sitting through their picks, I'm like, we're probably at least another 5 or 6 kilos where I would want to be. For example, I've got a girl who's doing fitness this year, and we ran her comparisons. She's just started prep for season C, and she's leaner now than she was. She's starting prep than when she got on stage the last time.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah.
So you would have had to. There's a different in her stage weight prediction.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
They're very, very different, and also she was under no illusions that it was going to be a very, very different experience and where she's going to need to go. But you're looking at, okay, so where is that landing scale weight? Roughly, give or take a kilo or 2. All right, let's just say that it's a guy and we think it's going to be 70 kilos, right? And he's sitting at 95. For me, when you're drifting anywhere that's really above sort of 20, some guys, 25%, they can get away with it because it's like, I know that if I give them 4 or 6 weeks, I can pull off 8 to 10 kilos, no dramas at all. But you don't want to be in a position where you're just getting unnecessarily, fat for no reason.
Yep.
And you also would want to look at, well, why is the rate of gain as high as what it is? If performance is good and sleep is good, and if someone's saying, oh, because I just need to keep food high, or I'm a hard gainer, and there are some people that are like that, and there's also some people that are better functioning being a little bit heavier, but they're also the ones typically that if they're sitting 20 kilos above stage weight in the off season, they're also those athletes that in 6 or 8 weeks, we can pull off, 8 to 10 kilos.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But if you're someone that is drifting that far and you think that you've made 5 kilos of muscle gain in 18 months, you're probably being a little bit naive, because unless you're assisted or you're a 20-year-old that's just, you're a neophyte for the lifting game, you're probably not really going to be making those sort of progressions. So I think you've got to weigh up, do I really need to be that heavier? And that's not necessarily on the athlete. It's on the coach to have an understanding of, you should have a ceiling of where they are. And if someone gets to that ceiling, and I can use Dan for an example. I know he won't mind. He's right around that edge of that ceiling of where he's at right now, where we've got another kilo. And so we've actually made some adjustments nutritionally. He doesn't need as much food as what he was pushing in, so that we can modulate that rate of gain and ideally hang out at this body weight. Training's awesome. There might be a shift of, we've given ourselves about 8 to 10 weeks for that next kilo, and then we'll maintain or we'll hold. and then we'll run a really aggressive, probably 4 or 5 week cleanup, and then give him some more runway. And so if performance is good, and again, they're sleeping, they're doing all of those other low-hanging fruit, items, if you will, then you don't need to be pushing up that high. But for the most part, when you're looking at these people that are getting that fluffy, they're not paying attention to their nutrition. And they might say, oh, I eat 3,500 calories, but they're probably not eating the same meal 1 and meal 5, 7 days a week. They're probably eating off plan on the weekend. They're not prioritizing sleep. Are they really training that hard? And so I think if you were to have someone do a really sound audit of all of those things, are you really doing everything that you need to do? And if you're not, then you're probably just eating for the sake of eating.
Yeah. So going back, you're really not looking at a body fat percentage per se. You're looking at a percentage of weight gain above what their ideal stage weight should have been if they were lean.
Well, right? For me, body fat percentage it's kind of an irrelevant number purely because when you get on stage, we're not running someone through a DEXA scan and saying you're this amount. And you can have someone and they might, for example, someone might look at now and be like, why does he need to why has he hit his ceiling weight? He's still kind of got abs, but he holds all his composition, his hamstrings and his glutes. And so I know that if I was to get him on stage, I know where he is and how far away he is from that. So I'm like, that's where our ceiling is. And so if you're not experienced and you haven't been in this space and you haven't had those experiences, then you don't really know. So, and most people, when they guesstimate, I had my skin folds done and I'm 5.5%. No, you're not. Unless you've actually looked at it and you've scanned hundreds and thousands of people with a DEXA machine and even then that's not 100% accurate.
Yeah.
It's pretty close to gold standard, but you don't really know exactly what that is. So you're going off, it's an arbitrary number. It's roughly what you think. And so you're more or less looking at a look. We know that this is what the look was at this weight. We know that ideally we want to be 3 kilos leaner, that to be 100. So if we could regain those 3 kilos of muscle in the next 18 months to 2 years, that's an incredible result for us. So if we're landing at the same weight and we're now 20 kilos above that weight, then we're probably too fat.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the next one. All right. This might be a good one for you, MG, to start with.
It's long.
It looks long, yeah. Hi, guys. Miss you all. I've got the best coach. I'm not going anywhere, but just wanted to ask a question. I've got a friend who changes coach every prep. Do you think it helps or holds them back long term? How do you know when it's actually the right time to change coach versus trusting the process? And what's the benefit of having a coach during the off season, especially if you're not planning to compete for a while? So changing coaches each prep.
Yeah. So we'll go through a bit by bit. So definitely, I think changing coaches too often is, and this is generalized, is detrimental to one's progression. Just using Scotty's example, right? If I just think about someone who I've been with forever. So if I look at Chloe as an example and knowing exactly what she needs to look like, what her weight needs to be. So this prep, we pre-prepped and got her in a position where we only have to pull off 7 kilos because I know exactly where she needs to land. I know exactly what that number's going to be. I know how much she's put on since her last show based on what might be possible. So from a strategic perspective, I have this information because I've had her for so long. Mm-hmm. If I look at prep versus off season, I think for a lot of people being motivated and staying on point in prep, you're waking up every single day, you're seeing changes, you're getting nothing but positive reinforcement for everyone around you. Everyone has a coach for prep, but I think more people should have a coach in off season because that's when there isn't a pending date, or if there is one, it's not around the corner. You do have the flexibility. It's a lot easier for people to drop their level of adherence, drop their level of intensity. And that's when you want a coach there pushing you, not when you're motivated to the tooth. So for me, switching too often, unless, there's some very valid reasons to switch. But if you've switched 4 times in 4 seasons, have you not found, a coach that can deliver a good service? There's plenty out there. So that would be something I'd question at first. But if you just swapping because you think novelty is the way that you're going to continue to progress, it's probably not the right mindset to have. But I definitely wonder what type of physique this person's friend has, and to what level have they taken their physique to. I wonder if they're, someone who, is potentially worthy of a pro card and just continues to miss the mark, or if it is somebody who maybe already is at that top level, but isn't living up to their potential.
Yeah. Have they been unfortunate to have bad coaches
Or
and
are they not coachable?
or they're not coachable? Or what they could be doing as well is not having a coach in the off season. So all they're doing is just
Prep
getting
coaching.
just prep coaches, and therefore they're not getting the result they want because no assistance or no guidance has been done in the most important part, which is the improvement season, which goes back to the other part of the question is that's where all the work is done in the improvement season. If you've got to make changes to your physique, you need a coach during the most important phase, which is the improvement season.
For me, like from a coach's perspective, comp prep coaching is easy. You already set really clear guidelines as to like what should be achieved week to week. Adherence is always high. We work our hardest with people in the off season. Like that's when we really have to, get in the trenches and find ways to push people harder. And we look at form execution more. We look at all these other things. So as a coach, that's probably when your coach is working the hardest.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you not want them in that period?
During that period, yeah. Anything on that, Scotty? Swapping coaches in the improvement season.
Yeah, I would just want to know, why are you bouncing around? Is it because you just didn't get the placing that you wanted, or is it a result oriented? Is it just the communication? You're not getting what you need, you don't gel with your coach, or is it that they have expectations that you can't adhere to? Like you said, are they not coachable? So I don't really know too many people that I don't really pay much attention to be honest, but as in like who would bounce around, or I think mainly because all the coaches that I communicate with, obviously with you boys, your roster stays pretty much consistent. Every now and then you might have a couple of people that decide to, have a sabbatical from the sport, but you don't really get a lot of bouncing around. I'm sure it does happen maybe in newer coaches, maybe just social media. I feel like there's a lot of people that, maybe lean into this person has this amount of followers and they get lots of, hype on their content, but in reality, are they just reading a script? Are they actually educated? Have they got a track record? Maybe this person's not doing their due diligence. I'm not sure. Maybe whoever this person, it was someone's friend, you said.
Yeah.
Maybe whoever's asked the question, maybe tell your friend to go with their coach.
Yeah.
Is there got a name or not?
I know who it is, yeah, because I sent it as a message, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What about coaching in the improvement season? Having a coaching improvement season.
I mean, everything that I just sort of said about 15, whatever it was, 10 minutes ago,
Yeah.
I feel like I just gave you the rationale behind why you want to have that. The amount of people that will be like, I want to compete in season C, and they might book a consult with you, and it's like, you don't have enough time for that. And also from our end, if you're taking someone on, you also have a standard and expectations. You're not going to put someone on and also not going to thrash you for the sake of you doing a season that just because you want to do that season. If you really want to get on stage and you really want to present the best you can and have the most, enjoyable experience, like we always, you got to give me X amount of time, because one of the reasons it's good to stay with a coach if everything is being adhered to and you're happy with your service, etc., is because you're collating data throughout that whole process. And so you've run tidy out phases, you'll make mistakes, your coach might make mistakes, but you learn to identify where these wrinkles are. And so, when you're exposed to some turbulent waters in contest prep, you've seen this episode before, and so you know what to do. And so you have the solutions for that, versus if you don't, then you run the risk of you're working everything out for the first time. And 8-9 years ago, we probably would drive a little bit more blind. I know I used to take people on, they would inquire, yep, you want to do a prep, 24 weeks is enough time, let's do it. Versus now, I wouldn't be able to tell you the last time I've coached anyone to stage that I haven't had at least a 18-month to 2-year period with prior to it, just because it makes your job so much easier.
Of course.
Peace of mind, you can draw out the game plan, but that's what that initial consult should be. Which is why I always kind of find it interesting when I see, and I get it, everyone's trying to acquire new clients, but you're advertising, if coaches are advertising, I'm looking for X amount of competitors for season C this year, and it's like, well, it's March, so
it's March. Yeah.
You're more looking for, I'm looking for 5 athletes, I'm looking for $500 a week.
Yeah.
Who wants to put their hand up?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly right.
Because looking at it through that's all I see. Because why on earth would you want to do that?
Yeah.
They're not going to have a good result, which means that it's not going to reflect well on you. And so if I could give one bit of advice to up and coming coaches, and that whenever I have any, one-on-one calls with people that do want to, just get a bit of a dive on what do you recommend I should do, I want to get more clients, the ones that you have, treat them like they are your only client and care as much as you can. Because if you are just as much as emotionally invested in their result, which we are, when my athletes compete and they're on stage and I'm sitting there, I still have that almost nervous, sick feeling, because it's also, you know, have I done everything that I had, that I could have done possible to make sure they get the best result? Obviously, it's out of our hands at that point.
Yeah.
But we care just as much.
Yeah.
I want you to succeed as much as I would if it was me that was on that stage. So I think that if you were to apply that same principle to every person that you coach, you know, the results will start to fall your way, and you'll find that people will start to want to engage in your services.
Yeah, definitely.
What's even, you know what Harry said to us on Saturday night?
Oh, yeah.
He said, you conduct yourself in a certain way, you land exactly where you're supposed to land, either on the right side or the wrong side.
Yeah.
But that's probably where you're meant to be based on how you conduct yourself. So, and then another piece of advice, which, you know, stems from you and your pre-prep too. If I look at my history as a coach, when I started, I left nowhere near enough time for preps. I went from nowhere near enough times to long preps that had their own challenges because they weren't mapped out properly.
Mm-hmm.
Now pre-preps and long-term planning has been the main difference in, you know, the athletes that I would present 5 years ago versus now.
Yeah.
So if you're in any of those two where you're leaving preps too short or they're too long and you're not athletes aren't making it there efficiently, your answer is just there. Put pre-preps in.
Yeah.
And plan your year out.
Yeah. Or you're only engaging a coach for the prep itself, and none of that work has been done prior to that. How can you expect a good result?
Man, like a pre-prep, you get so much fucking great information. Like, all right, that's what you were able to achieve in a 5-week period. That was the rate of loss. That's how your biomarkers were affected. Beautiful. I know exactly. It's, like, if you don't get any of that, it's just such a tough journey. Like, set yourself up for success. Put the work in early and don't look for the instant.
Yeah.
And pick the guy that won all the overalls at the last show. And even though I want to do a show in 14 weeks, I'm going to pick that guy because he won a lot of overalls. Like, put the time in. Like,
Yeah.
it's a long game.
Let's end on this one. Thoughts on StairMaster for cardio? Do you think it has a higher fatigue on the body?
It's a no deal for this.
It's a no deal.
No deal. You know, I thought I'd do the no deal. I thought I'd do no deal.
Do like a
4 hours.
Oh yeah.
I don't go to the StairMaster as my first 1 or 2 option. I will always pick the elliptical or the bike. I think it is more fatiguing. I think it creates a little bit of heavy leg syndrome that then tends to affect people's lower days. I've seen it affect people's lower days, so hence why I don't opt for it. But if somebody really wants to do it and say they're doing 3 sessions, I might allow them to do 1 on the StairMaster, but I do try and avoid it.
How about you, Scotty?
Yeah, kind of the same. I tend to lean into the bike. Any kind of cycle, whether it's a spin bike, whether it's a normal exercise bike, but always with a specific timestamp, energy expenditure target, and ideally heart rate zones. We know that we're targeting a certain substrate, ideally carbohydrate. But at the same time, if there comes a point similar to what you said, I've got a girl at the moment who loves doing the stairs. She just really, really enjoys doing it. And so we compromise. So, you know, she's doing 3 sessions. She does alternating weeks. She'll do 2 and 1. The other week she'll swap the other way around. And as long as it doesn't, which it hasn't as of yet, impact training, that's the agreement we have. As soon as we start to see a decline in training performance, as long as we can look at this objectively and not emotionally and understand that as a result of doing this, it's now affecting that. And if we can, which it usually does happen, if you've got someone that's super fatigued at the back end, them doing a flush session on the bike versus climbing 100 flight of stairs, very, very different.
Once Scotty says it affecting leg day, it's not up for negotiation anymore. That's the way it goes.
I'm really, really similar to everything that you said. The only thing that I would add to that is that I do find that if someone is pressed for time, it's normally more efficient to get the calorie burn required for an expenditure perspective. So sometimes people enjoy that aspect. They're like, I get an extra 10 minutes in my day or whatever that must be in my day. And sometimes it makes a big difference. And yes, if they enjoy it and they want to do it, let them do it, because sometimes cardio is not enjoyable. So you might as well do something you enjoy. But if it does affect your recovery, then it's a different conversation. So that is it. Good to go. All the best for
thank you. Stay tuned
for Friday. Might be coming in with a gold chain next time I see you.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, praying that I do get the call up, but I wonder if they would say you're not allowed to say anything. Surely they would, right?
Yeah, there'd be. Yeah, there must be.
I'll just use eye signals on next week.
Yeah.
Did you
get in?
Just tell us if you had a great day.
Yeah.
You'll know
can't-
as if
I can't.
I'll be able to fucking.
Yeah, I know. You better keep your mouth shut. Yeah.
Are you boys going to be on next week? Because you got a luncheon.
We are
Luncheons.
we are going to the we went to the
How big's the
event for autism, Mick Gatto's event on Saturday night.
Mhm.
It was awesome.
Which was awesome.
1,000 people.
Yeah, it was 1,000 people.
Uh,
Good cause.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. Connected with a lot of good people. Saw some old mates as well, which was really
We did,
nice.
Yeah, we did.
And then the Carlton Football Club business lunch, which you and I went to last year,
I'm
but
sure I'm gonna be
you're in the Goldie, so myself and MT, and
So
hopefully we get the big Normie to call up as well.
So it's next week at the same time we normally record the potty. So it looks like
It's at the Palladium, yeah. So
we're
it's
gonna
12 to
Why don't you
4.
just stick the camera there?
What?
Yeah. Just do the potty at Crown.
Well, Scotty will vouch. Who's at the top of the stairs when you walk up to that business luncheon? Which
We had the two
the
versions.
two Virgin staff that basically were on all our flights for all of us. Yeah,
They're like, what are you
Oh,
guys
you-
doing?
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, it's another good day there. Yeah, last year they had, I'm trying to think who the guest speakers were. They had Tom Hawkins,
Mhm.
Joel Selwood.
Joel Selwood, yes.
Did you tell him
It was
who
a
we
grand
saw
final luncheon.
on the Saturday night, which was the Western Bulldogs guy?
Yeah,
I did. I
Dougie
messaged him straight away.
Yeah.
He
said,
said,
say hi to the great man.
go say hi to the great man for me. He did.
Because you looked at him and you're like, oh, Scotty will be spewing this bloke's here. And I looked at him, like, yeah, he
He's
kind of
like, yeah.
looks familiar. And then MJ's like, yeah, he's like the best fucking Western Bulldogs
Yeah, I was
player.
like,
So I was like, oh,
He's
okay,
a great
fair
man.
enough. Yeah.
He's a great. Mick Gatto actually mentioned him in his
Dougie.
Yeah.
in his speech, but I think they raised. Well, there was that one massive donation on
There would have been over $1 million.
a couple of $1 million.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
would have been over.
Me and MT bought a couple of $100 tickets to win the Alfa Romeo,
Yeah, we did, yeah. We didn't win.
but we won more than that.
Yeah.
We won connections.
We did.
So
It was a good night. All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks everyone for listening, watching, and we'll see you in the next one.